Dear Paul, I came home this morning and found your wife and my husband in our bedroom. He says he wants to leave me. You have to make them end it. Maggie. And 2 months later, Dear Paul, finally, my husband is heartbroken, but I'm sure we can find what we once had together. Maggie. These first letters had troubled Ilka when she found them, but the fourth, from June 1998, was the one most difficult for her to give Marianne. Dear Paul, I hear your wife is paralyzed from the waist down, and that it's a miracle you walked away from the accident without a scratch. Maggie. Ilka emptied the paper cup. As she was about to crush it down in the cup holder, her phone pinged. She had a match on Tinder. Shortly after arriving in Racine, she'd created a profile to have something that could distract her from the funeral home, which already had become her responsibility. She grabbed the phone. The photo of the smiling blonde man interested in her showed him holding hands with 2 young children. Ilka deleted him at once and looked up. 2 black 4-wheel drive vehicles were parked in front of the house. How could she have missed them driving up? She laid down her phone and watched 6 men in dark suits climb out and gather on the sidewalk. Moments later, a monster of a moving van drove in and blocked the driveway. The quiet street where her father had lived was suddenly a traffic jam. She leaned forward to get a better look at the man approaching the front door. He knocked and rang the doorbell several times, but no one answered, though Ilka noticed a curtain moving to the left of the door. He knocked one last time and waited before rejoining the others. The door finally opened when the rear cargo door of the moving van began folding down. It took Ilka a while to spot Marianne's wheelchair behind a long wicker sofa on the porch. Her blonde hair was pinned up and a thin shawl covered her bare shoulders. Then Ilka shot up in her seat. The woman was holding a rifle on her blanket-covered lap. Slowly she rolled toward the steps, picked up the rifle, pointed it at the dark-suited men, and yelled something at them. Ilka nearly jumped out of her skin when the woman pointed the rifle in the air and pulled the trigger. All 6 men immediately pulled out handguns, which startled her even more. Marianne's older daughter, Leslie, hurried out onto the porch. She wore a short-sleeved, flowered dress and her hair was wet. Insignificant details, given the situation, yet they caught Ilka's eye before the next shot rang out. This time a bullet smacked into the side of the moving van. Marianne planted her elbow on her wheelchair's armrest and kept the rifle aimed at the van where the men had taken cover, though they still held their guns. Ilka opened the car door and froze. She was scared, but she couldn't just sit there and do nothing either. A deep voice ordered Marianne to put the rifle down. The sun had briefly broken through the clouds, and its rays in the side mirror blinded Ilka when she finally worked up the courage to get out. Marianne concentrated on reloading as Leslie dragged her back to the door, and when she started shooting again, Ilka hit the asphalt behind the car. The sight of the small, frail woman handling a lethal weapon was simply too surreal. It made no sense at all. None of this did. Marianne managed to fire one more shot before disappearing inside the door. Immediately, the 6 men started shooting back. Then they spread out and surrounded the large wooden house. One of them ran up on the porch and pointed his gun at the front door, yelling for Marianne and Leslie to come out with their hands up. The others ducked around back. Desperate now, Ilka peered over the low hedges of the neighbors' houses, but she saw no sign of anyone calling the police or doing anything to help the 2 women. The door opened slowly, and Leslie walked out with one hand over her head, the other pushing the wheelchair. Marianne held her thin arms straight in the air. The man ordered them over to the far end of the porch, then signaled to the moving van. Ilka stared in bewilderment as a small army of broad-shouldered, muscular men poured out of the van and entered the house.